Hello and welcome to the Home Inventories typing training video. In this video we'll go over how to properly type the inventories that we come across, and we'll just get straight into it. You'll notice here at the top you have the room, which pretty much will be named by the clerk once they start dictating. So this will be renamed once the clerk identifies the room he's describing. And you'll notice here on the left hand side under item, the column is already filled in. This is the standard column and the standard order of the elements within a room. In here under description we will describe the item in question. On the first row, we will have the item itself, and underneath with bullet points, we will have the elements of the item itself. So we'll see how that will work out once we start typing. And under check-in condition, this column has already been filled in. You'll notice that we have the cleanliness state, the integrity, the defects, and its operation. So any deviation from the ideal state of the item will pretty much knock one of these descriptions, conditions, will knock them out of the first row and will automatically be added onto the next row. So we'll see how that works out in a few. That's pretty much the basics of it. I'm going to turn up my speakers now so you can hear the dictation. We'll just go through a simple dictation so you can see how each element goes within the inventory itself. So let's try it out. We will obviously, if the clerk speaks too fast, we will rewind quite a lot of times, so you'll probably end up hearing the same thing multiple times, so just ignore that. So here we go.
Section 1, 4-panelled white gloss door with glass lever.
So that's reception room 1. Reception room 1. And he started describing it as
Section 1, 4-panelled white gloss door with glass.
4-panelled white gloss door. So underneath with bullet points, obviously we're describing the door, so the door is the first row, and underneath with bullet points we will write down the features of the door. So
Lever handle clean, crack. Section 1, 4-panelled white gloss door with glass lever handle clean, cracking to joints, chips to low level, scuff.
So it's cracking to joints and chips to low level. So these go under defects. So defects gets deleted. And everything else under description gets bumped down with the one row.
Markings low lever handle clean, cracking to joints, chips to low level, scuff markings low level, minor angle chips. Return to door 4-panelled white gloss brass lever handle.
Chips. So the door itself is cracking to joints, has chips to low level, scuff marks to low level, and minor angle chips. So these are all defects that the door is showing. And we will do this. Obviously the return of the door will be identical most of the time, so we're just going to assume that it is identical. And considering the condition of the door, of the front of the door, we can safely assume that the reverse, or the return of the door, will have defects as well. So we'll just see.
Clean, cracking to joints, door frame white gloss, clean and tap.
So it's indeed cracking to joint. Obviously, once you see cracking over here, you will think automatically the door isn't intact, but these cracks to the door are defects because the integrity of the door isn't affected, as in you don't have a hole in the door. So it serves its function, so it's still intact, but the cracks to the joints are put down as defects. So moving on.
OD cracking to joints, door frame white gloss, clean and tap, ODU threshold chrome threshold, clean and tap. Lightly scratch, sealing white emulsion onto plaster, intact. Minor discoloration in front of window, walls, cream emulsion onto.
Right, so I'll just rewind it. The ceiling is white emulsion onto plaster and has minor discoloration in front of the window. So those are defects that the ceiling presents. And as I said before, the first line on the description column will be strictly the element you're describing, so the item you're describing. And underneath, with bullet points, we will have the features of the item itself. So brass lever handle will be bulleted, and on the first row we will only have the item we're describing. So it has cleanliness, integrity, functionality, and defects. Any deviation from the ideal state of an item, you eliminate one of these placeholders or default states of the item, and underneath on the next row you will write the issues, and yeah, we just go from there. So we're going to do a couple more so that you manage to see how different items are typed in. So I'll just play it.
Scratch, sealing white emulsion onto plaster, intact. Minor discoloration in front of window, walls, cream emulsion onto plaster, near wall, 2 picture hooks, couple of light.
So the walls are cream emulsion onto plaster. Near wall has 2 picture hooks. And
Walls, cream emulsion onto plaster, near wall, 2 picture hooks, couple of light rub marks, mid and low level. Left hand wall, minor finger marks, mid level. Light scuffs, mid to low level. Left hand wall, minor finger marks, mid level. Light scuffs, mid to low level. Far wall, light scuffs, mid to low level. Right hand wall, 2 picture hooks, scuff. Far wall, light scuffs, mid to low level. Right hand wall, 2 picture hooks, scuffs, mid level centre, light scuffs, mid to low level. Right hand wall, 2 picture hooks, scuffs, mid level centre, light scuffs, mid to low level. All walls lightly patched, picture hooks, scuffs, mid level centre, light scuffs, mid to low level. All walls lightly patchy, woodwork white.
So he said at the end, all walls lightly patchy. So we'll add lightly patchy to all of the walls. Right, moving on to the woodwork.
Level centre, light scuffs, mid to low level. All walls lightly patchy, woodwork white satin, clean and intact. Flooring beige fitted, carpet pro, clean with furniture indentations. Tap. Flooring beige fitted, carpet pro, clean with furniture indentations. Lighting white pendant. Flooring beige fitted, carpet pro, clean with furniture indentations. Lighting white pendant light fitting with black and white, clean with furniture indentations. Lighting white pendant light fitting with black and white shade, intact and in working order. Can we also note to the left hand wall settlement cracking low?
Right, we'll notice here, one thing that has slipped my mind, any features of the item, so any bulleted elements for an item, you just type in intact. If the clerk hasn't specified any kind of state for these features, you will leave intact and just move on. The features aren't as important, and if there would be any issues with these features, the clerk would have mentioned them. So if They don't mention anything with regards to any bulleted features of the items that we're describing. You just assume intact and you move on.
Level. Window 4. Can we also note to the left-hand wall is settlement cracking, low level.
So the left-hand wall has settlement cracking to low level.
And in working order. Can we also note to the left-hand wall is settlement cracking, low level. Window 4. Panel clear, glass beige white satin sash style, low level. Window 4. Panel clear, glass beige white satin sash style frame with 2 sash cords, 2 screw bolt locks, clean intact, frame lightly chipped, ODU. Screw bolt locks, clean intact, frame lightly chipped, ODU, windowsill white satin, clean and intact. Above the window is a net curtain rod with chrome hooks.
Right, if the window doesn't have any kind of blinds, you can just outright delete the row. In this case, it has a curtain rail and curtains.
Intact, supporting and intact. Above the window is a net curtain rod with chrome hooks, intact, supporting floor length velour curtains. Window is a net curtain rod with chrome hooks, intact, supporting floor length velour curtains, no stains. Also above the window is a chrome supporting floor length velour curtains, no stains. Also above the window is a chrome curtain pole with finial ends. No stains. Also above the window is a chrome curtain pole with finial ends, clean and intact, supporting floor length. Black stroke blue curtains, domestically clean, no stain. Radiator